Good morning, students. This is part 3 of chapter 3, metals and non-metals. Already two parts of the chapter we have studied. This is third part, and again this part third is also divided into two subparts, that is 3a and 3b. So let me show you what we will learn is this 3a part. These are reactivity series, reaction of metals and non-metals, properties of ionic compounds, corrosion, and prevention of corrosion. So let me start one by one, and I will start with the reactivity series. The reactivity series. This is a list of metal arranged in the order of their decreasing activity. सभी metals को उनकी reactivity के decreasing order में अगर arrange कर दें तो जो series हमको मिलती है that is reactivity series. Here you can see a series of the metals that is starting with Li means lithium and ending with Pt means platinum. Lithium is the most reactive metal and platinum is the least reactive, or you can say it is unreactive metal. In this series you can see two substances, carbon and hydrogen. Let me tell you, these are not metals, but here they are taken or they are included in this series just for the reference. Why reactivity series is important? The data provided by the reactivity series can be used to predict whether a metal can displace another metal in a single displacement reaction. If you remember, we learned single displacement reaction in chapter 1, and there we learned that if any metal is more reactive, then only it will displace another metal from its compound, otherwise not. So there the reactivity series is used. How do metals and non-metals react? You have seen that all the substances in periodic table do not react in same manner. They react in different manner. So on which basis they react? How can we define that this particular substance will react in a particular manner? That can be decided by their electronic configuration or by the number of electrons in their last orbit. The number of electrons in their last orbit decides the tendency to attain a completely filled valence shell. Here you can see three types of element: noble gases, metals, and non-metals. Noble gases are the gases that has their outer shell totally complete. Helium has 2 electrons in its outer shell. Neon has 8 electrons in its outer shell, and argon also has 8 electrons. The outer shell or outer orbit of these substances is complete. Neither they donate any electron nor they accept any electron. It means they will not react anyhow. That is why they are noble gas. Now we come to metals: sodium, magnesium, aluminium, potassium, and calcium. The last orbit of these metals is not complete. It is incomplete. In sodium, there is only 1 electron in last orbit. In magnesium, there are 2 electrons. In aluminium, there are 3 electrons. Potassium, 1 electron. Calcium, 2 electrons in the last orbit of the atom. So, you see that last orbits are not complete. To complete the last orbit, what they will do? Sodium will donate 1 electron. Magnesium will donate 2 electrons. Aluminium will donate 3 electrons. After donating these electrons, they will become positive ions. Na will become Na plus. Magnesium will become Mg plus plus. Okay, now come to non-metals: nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, phosphorus, sulfur, and chlorine. Here is the electronic configuration of these substances. Nitrogen have 5 electrons in its outermost orbit. Oxygen has 6, fluorine has 7, phosphorus has 5, sulfur has 6, and again the chlorine has 7 electrons in its last orbit. So what these substances will do to complete their last orbit? Chlorine has 7 electrons. So what it will do? Should it donate all 7 electrons or should it accept 1 electron? It will accept 1 electron and it will become Cl minus. Why minus? Because it is accepting negative charge. That is why minus. So it will become negative ion. So now it is clear that substances Cl minus. The substances that donate electrons they become positive ion. ठीक है, metals you can see that they are donating and they are becoming positive ions, and non-metals they are accepting the electrons and they become negative ions. Fine. So now let me move to the next slide. Here it can be explained more clearly. The example of sodium and chlorine is given that will show you how ionic compounds are formed. See, this is sodium and you can see here that it is giving or donating 1 electron to chlorine and itself it will become Na plus, and here it is chlorine. It is accepting that electron from sodium and it is becoming Cl minus. Now Na become Na ion, Na plus, and chlorine becomes chlorine ion Cl minus. Now they both will combine and we will get NaCl. Fine. This is the formation of ionic compound. Here we will see it as per the electronic configuration. Sodium has 11 electrons. The electronic configuration is 2, 8 and 1. Outermost orbit of sodium is not complete. It is having only 1 electron. So this 1 electron will be donated to chlorine. Fine. Chlorine is having 7 electrons in its outermost orbit. So when it will accept this 1 electron from sodium, what will happen? Na will become Na plus and Cl will become Cl minus and NaCl will be formed. This is the formation of NaCl, sodium chloride. Clear? Okay. Now how to write formula of sodium chloride? Sodium Na, chlorine Cl. The valency of sodium is 1 and valency of chlorine is also 1. While writing the chemical formula, the valencies will be cross NaCl and this way we write NaCl. This was formation of ionic compound NaCl. Here another example of AlCl3. Aluminium is having 3 electrons in its last orbit and it will donate these 3 electrons to chlorine. Okay, and that is why AlCl3 will be formed. Aluminium electronic configuration 2, 8 and 3. These 3 electrons will be donated by aluminium. There are 3 atoms of chlorine and each atom requires only 1 electron. So aluminium will donate these 3 electrons to these 3 atoms of chlorine. 1 electron will go here, another will here, and the third one will go to here, and AlCl3 will be formed. In the same manner, magnesium chloride. So let us see how magnesium chloride will be formed. Electronic configuration of magnesium is 2, 8 and 2. In last orbit of magnesium there are only 2 electrons. So to complete its last orbit it will remove 2 electrons and it will donate these 2 electrons. Okay. One electron will donate to this chlorine atom and another will go to here, and MgCl2, magnesium chloride, will be formed. So this was the formation of NaCl, AlCl3, MgCl2. All these three are ionic compounds. What are ionic compounds? I am telling you these are ionic compounds. How they are ionic compounds? So ionic compounds means the compounds that are formed by transfer of electrons from metal to a non-metal. And in all these three examples you have seen, whether it was NaCl, MgCl2 or AlCl3, in all these three, transfer of electrons were there. So the compounds formed by transfer of electrons from a metal to a non-metal are known as ionic compounds or electrovalent compounds. In ionic compound, it is necessary that there should be one anion and one cation. Anion means negative ion and cation means positive ion. So let us see which one is the positive ion and which one is the negative ion in these ionic compounds NaCl, MgCl2 and Al3. Anion. In NaCl, Cl is negative ion. MgCl2 also Cl is negative ion. In AlCl3, Cl is negative ion. What about positive ion? In sodium chloride, sodium is positive ion. In magnesium chloride, Mg is positive ion. In aluminum chloride, Al is positive ion. So this was ionic compound definition and their formation. Properties of ionic compounds, very important question, and the question is answer is also easy. There are 4 properties of ionic compounds. One by one we will learn. The first one is physical nature. Ionic compounds are solid. They are hard. But somehow they are brittle. अगर आयोनिक कंपाउंड्स को आप तोड़ने जाएंगे तो वो टूटते नहीं हैं, उनका भुक्का हो जाता है, दैट इज वाई दे आर ब्रिटल. लेकिन वो इतने हार्ड क्यों होते हैं? उनका फिजिकल नेचर सॉलिड है, इतने सॉलिड्स क्यों होते हैं कि वो टूट ना सकें? सी इफ यू रिमेंबर, जो अपोजिट चार्जेस होते हैं दे अट्रैक्ट ईच अदर, एंड यू नो कि आयोनिक कंपाउंड्स आर फॉर्म्ड बाय रिएक्शन बिटवीन पॉजिटिव एंड नेगेटिव आयंस. तो वो पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव आयन एक स्ट्रॉन्ग फोर्स से आपस में जुड़े होते हैं और उस स्ट्रॉन्ग फोर्स को ओवरकम करके उसको ब्रेक करना वेरी डिफिकल्ट होता है. दैट इज व्हाई the ionic compounds are solid and they are very hard. Fine. The second property is melting and boiling point. Ionic compounds के melting और boiling point बहुत high होते हैं. रीजन वही सेम रीजन है, क्योंकि वो बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग फोर्स से जुड़े होते हैं. तो वो स्ट्रॉन्ग फोर्स से बाहर लाने के लिए उनको ज्यादा टेम्परेचर देना पड़ेगा, ज्यादा एनर्जी देनी पड़ेगी, तो उनका मेल्टिंग पॉइंट और बॉइलिंग पॉइंट हाई हो जाता है. थर्ड पॉइंट होता है solubility. These types of compounds are soluble in water but insoluble in organic solvent like kerosene and petrol. लास्ट होता है कंडक्शन ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. आयोनिक कंपाउंड्स जो हैं वो अपने सॉलिड फॉर्म में इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंडक्ट नहीं करते हैं. इन देयर सॉलिड फॉर्म दे डू नॉट कंडक्ट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, बट जब वे उसके मोल्टन स्टेट में होते हैं या हम उसको पानी में घोल देते हैं तो वे इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को कंडक्ट करते हैं. So there are 4 properties of ionic compounds. Number 1, physical nature, they are solid. Number 2, melting point, boiling point, their melting point and boiling points are high. Solubility, they are soluble in water but insoluble in solvents like kerosene and petrol. Conduction of electricity. In their solid state, ionic compounds do not conduct electricity, but they conduct electricity in their molten state. उनका जो सॉल्यूशंस होते हैं वो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को कंडक्ट करते हैं. प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ आयनिक कंपाउंड्स याद रखने का बेस्ट तरीका है कि आप NaCl की प्रॉपर्टीज याद रखें. NaCl एक आयनिक कंपाउंड है और NaCl में सिंपल खाने वाला नमक सोडियम क्लोराइड. सोडियम क्लोराइड फिजिकल नेचर सॉलिड होता है, ब्रिटल होता है. सोडियम क्लोराइड इजीली मेल्ट नहीं होता है, MPBP हाई है, सॉलिबिलिटी पानी में सॉल्युबल है, और जो सॉलिड NaCl है वो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंडक्ट नहीं करता है, बट इट इज डिजॉल्व इनटू द वाटर, और जो सॉल्यूशन है दैट विल कंडक्ट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. So this way you can learn, you can remember, you can understand the properties of ionic compound. But very important question, अपने टेक्स्ट बुक में अच्छे से लिख लेना, नोटबुक में, और उसको लर्न कर लेना. Corrosion. Corrosion is a familiar term. Everybody knows about corrosion. Corrosion simple means काट खा जाना या rusting होना. Let me define it properly. Corrosion is the irreversible damage or destruction of material due to chemical or electrochemical reaction. और इसका जो बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल है दैट इज रस्टिंग ऑफ आयरन. Another example of corrosion is silver articles become black after some time when they exposed to air. How does it happen? It happens due to the reaction between sulfur in the air to form the coating of silver sulfide. सिल्वर और सल्फर के बीच में रिएक्शन होता है और सिल्वर सल्फाइड बनता है, और वो आयरन के सिल्वर के ऑर्नामेंट्स के ऊपर एक लेयर बना लेता है, दैट इज सिल्वर सल्फाइड. द सेम थिंग हैपेंस विद कॉपर. Copper react with most moist carbon dioxide in the air and slowly loses its shiny brown surface and gains a green coat, और वो जो green coat है वो भी copper carbonate का होता है. Iron when exposed to moist air for a long time that acquires a coating of brown flaky substance that is called rust. जब आयरन को आप हवा में छोड़ दें बहुत टाइम के लिए जहां मॉइस्चर भी हो, तो वो आयरन रस्ट हो जाता है, उसका काट खा जाता है. एक्चुअल में वो ऑक्सीजन के साथ रिएक्शन करता है तो आयरन ऑक्साइड बनता है, और आयरन ऑक्साइड की लेयर जो है वो आयरन के ऊपर इकट्ठा होती जाती है. What are the conditions under which iron rust? This activity is given in your book. The picture I have taken from your textbook only. It is given as page number 53 and figure 3.13. Three test tubes are taken, test tube number A, test tube number B, and test tube number C. In first test tube, there is only dry air. In second test tube, there is only boiled water. There is no air, but there is boiled water. And in third test tube, unboiled water and air is there. Now do one thing, keep a clean iron nail in all these three test tubes. Iron nail in first test tube, iron nail in second test tube, and iron nail is third test tube. Now leave them like that for few days. What do you observe after few days? In first test tube there is only air, but you do not find any rust on iron nail. In second test tube there is only boiled water. There also you do not find any rust on iron nail. But in third test tube, air is also there and water is also unboiled. मतलब पानी में salt भी mix हो सकते हैं. तो वहां पर what do you observe? You observe that rusting takes place. It means what? After this experiment, what can you conclude? What can you state? You can state that the presence of water and oxygen is essential for the rusting of iron. This is very important condition under which iron rusts. Okay. This is another thing. Impurities in the iron. The presence of water vapor, acids, salts and carbon dioxide hastens rusting. अगर आयरन में कुछ impurities mix हैं तो भी रस्टिंग जल्दी होता है. जो प्योर आयरन है it does not rust in dry and carbon dioxide free air. So these were the conditions under which iron rusts. In your textbook at page number 53 this activity is given. You can read out and you can write in your notebook. प्रिवेंशन ऑफ कोरोजन, जो कोरोजन है वो बहुत डैमेज करता है इक्विपमेंट्स को, आयरन थिंग्स को, इकोनॉमिकली भी नुकसान पहुंचाता है. तो हाउ कैन वी प्रिवेंट कोरोजन? देयर आर मेथड्स टू प्रिवेंट कोरोजन. लेट मी लिस्ट आउट देम वन बाय वन. पेंटिंग, कोई भी सरफेस को अगर पेंट कर दें तो कोरोजन को हम अवॉइड कर सकते हैं. सिंपली अगर हम सरफेस का टच मॉइस्चर और ऑक्सीजन से खत्म कर दें तो कोरोजन प्रिवेंट हो सकता है. नंबर 2, ऑयलिंग, कोई भी सरफेस को ऑयलिंग लगाकर भी उसे हम कोरोजन से प्रिवेंट कर सकते हैं. ऑयल लगाने का मतलब क्या है कि सरफेस का ऑक्सीजन और मॉइस्चर से हमने टच खत्म कर दिया, डायरेक्ट कांटेक्ट में नहीं आता है ऑक्सीजन और मॉइस्चर के, तो कोरोजन नहीं होता है. ग्रीसिंग, galvanizing, chrome plating, anodizing and making alloy. These are the methods by using them we can prevent corrosion and we can save our items. Out of these, we will explain galvanizing. What is galvanization? Galvanization is a method of protecting steel or iron from rusting by coating them with a thin layer of zinc. See, why we are coating a thin layer of zinc on iron? Here this is zinc. If you remember, in reactivity series we learned that zinc is more reactive than iron. तो अगर जिंक का लेयर आयरन के ऊपर कोट किया जाएगा तो जिंक विल रिएक्ट फास्टर इन द कंपैरिजन ऑफ आयरन. जिंक आयरन से रिएक्शन करेगा, जिंक ऑक्साइड बनाएगा और आयरन की जो सरफेस है वो सेफ रहेगी. दिस प्रोसेस इज नोन एज गैल्वेनाइजेशन. So the galvanized article is protected against rusting even if the zinc coating is broken. और second thing, जिंक सेक्रीफाइस करता है आयरन के लिए, तो इसको हम सेक्रीफाइसिंग मेटल भी बुला सकते हैं. सो कोई भी एक मोर रिएक्टिव मेटल का जब हम लेयर बना देते हैं आयरन के सरफेस पर तो आयरन हमारा कोरोजन कोरोइडेड नहीं होता है एंड द प्रोसेस इज नोन एज गैल्वेनाइजेशन. Here and you can see the animation of galvanization. This animation I have taken from net just to explain what is galvanization. The another method is alloying. Alloying is also a very good method of improving the properties of a metal and we can get the desired properties by this method. For example, iron is the most widely used metal, but it is never used in pure state. क्यों? कि in pure state iron is very soft and stretches easily when it is hot. But when it is mixed with a small amount of carbon, कितना? सिर्फ 0.05%, it becomes hard and strong. When iron is mixed with nickel and chromium, we get stainless steel and that is an alloy and that is hard and it also does not get rust. So alloy बनाने के बाद metal की properties change हो जाते हैं. If iron is mixed with some other substances, its property changes. That we know. आयरन को कार्बन के साथ मिक्स करो, क्रोमियम के साथ मिक्स करो तो हमको एक अलग ही एलॉय मिलता है. दैट इज हार्ड, दैट इज शाइनी, that is durable and it doesn't get corroded. In fact, the property of any metal can be changed if it is mixed with some other substances. The substance added may be a metal or a non-metal. So here a perfect definition of an alloy. Alloy is a homogeneous mixture of two or more than two metals or a metal or a non-metal. या तो दो मेटल हो या एक मेटल और एक नॉन मेटल हो, उनका जो होमोजीनियस मिक्सचर होता है उसे हम एलॉय बुलाते हैं. हाउ इट इज प्रिपेयर्ड? इट इज प्रिपेयर्ड बाय फर्स्ट मेल्टिंग द प्राइमरी मेटल and then dissolving the other elements in it in a definite proportion. Then it is cooled to the room temperature and a new substance is prepared and that is alloy. तो दैट यू नो कि दो या दो से ज़्यादा मेटल्स को जो हम मिलाते हैं तो उसको हम एलॉय बोलते हैं। द कंडीशन इज कि वो एक प्रॉपर प्रोपोर्शन में होने चाहिए, दोनों मेटल भी हो सकते हैं और एक मेटल और एक नॉन मेटल भी हो सकता है। पर जब उसमें से एक मेटल मर्क्यूरी हो तो हम ऐसे एलॉय को बोलते हैं एमलगम। इफ वन ऑफ द मेटल इज मर्करी then the alloy is known as amalgam. The electrical conductivity and melting point of an alloy is less than that of pure metal. For example, बहुत अच्छा एक एग्जाम्पल यहाँ पर दिया है। कॉपर है एक, वो इलेक्ट्रिकल कंडक्टर है, बेस्ट इलेक्ट्रिकल कंडक्टर है। लेकिन जब कॉपर को हम जिंक के साथ मिलाते हैं, कॉपर एंड जिंक, तो वी गेट एन एलॉय ब्रास। और अगर हम कॉपर को टिन के साथ मिलाते हैं तो वी गेट एन एलॉय ब्रॉन्ज। और ये दोनों ही एलॉय आर नॉट गुड कंडक्टर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी while copper is a good conductor. तो जब मेटल का एलॉय बनता है उसके प्रॉपर्टीज चेंज हो जाते हैं। ऐसे ही सोल्जरिंग में जो सब्सटेंस हम यूज करते हैं, दैट इज एन एलॉय मेड अप ऑफ लेड एंड टिन एंड इट हैज लो मेल्टिंग पॉइंट एंड दैट इज व्हाई इट इज यूज्ड फॉर वेल्डिंग इलेक्ट्रिकल वायर्स टुगेदर। कम मेल्टिंग पॉइंट होता है तो जल्दी से पिघल जाता है और दो छेड़े जो वायर के होते हैं सरफेसेस के, दो पॉइंट्स को वो इजीली जॉइंट कर देता है। The another example of alloy is gold ornaments. Pure gold जो 24 कैरेट gold है, that is very soft and it cannot be used to make ornaments. So it is alloyed with silver or copper to make it hard. Generally in India we use 22 carat gold to make ornaments. What does 22 carat gold means? 22 carat gold means 22 parts of the gold are of pure gold and they are mixed with two parts of another metal. That metal may be copper and that metal may be silver. So this was alloy and uses of alloy, examples of alloy. Here is the example. Actually, I should say this is the wonder of ancient Indian metallurgy. Metallurgy means science of metals, from extraction to refine. This is the iron pillar near the Qutub Minar in Delhi and it was made around 400 BC by the iron workers of that time of India. At that time they had developed a process which prevented wrought iron from rusting. This is likely because of formation of a thin film of magnetic oxide. Magnetic oxide means iron oxide, Fe3O4. So on the surface a thin layer of Fe3O4 is deposited. As a result of finishing treatment given to the pillar, painting it with a mixture of different salts and then heating and quenching, this iron pillar is 8 meter high and weight of this iron pillar is 6000 kg. And today till day no rust is found on the surface of this iron pillar. जो आयरन पिलर है आज तक ये corroded नहीं हुआ है, and that is means wonder to the scientist. Many scientists they are studying of this material, what is the material and how the scientists of those time 400 BC how did they prepare it. So this shows that the science and technology in ancient time is developed in India. So this was subpart 3a of this chapter. Tomorrow we'll meet with the last part of the chapter. I think the session was clear to you. Thank you, children.